like to say it, is all for taxation. And the BOCC, the Tampa-centric five, and we need to focus on those fives because they're the ones who allow these county attorneys to give us poor leadership. They owe us an apology. The malfeasance and their violations of the public trust are egregious. Their rush to place this on the ballot and tax the Hillsborough County residents to further their rail dreams not only cost taxpayers $500 million and unnecessary legal expenses, but also lost time in improving our roads, widening our streets, building new roads to this ever-increasing population in our county. Common sense tells you, fix our roads first. Remember, it was Hart who failed to spend one dime of the loan that they received from Wells Fargo, paying back principal and interest before they spent one red dime on fixing bus rapid transit. That was egregious. They did this to shelve the deal, to allow the situation to get worse in the county. And that is what this leadership did. That's not leadership, that's leading from behind. AFT, Tyler Hudson, and the BOCC, the Tampa-centric five, are dragging the county through a nightmare circus. This crisis that they've created, while the rank and file of small business owners like myself and all these other folks who showed up today, and the county residents who have been paying this tax for 2 years, are owed their money back. It was malfeasance from the beginning. We need that stimulus back in our pockets. That we've been facing this pandemic for way too long, and now we need our money back. Then we can decide how we're going to fix our roads, widen our streets, and improve transportation in Hillsborough County. The families and businesses are digging out of this pandemic right now. We need that stimulus back in our pockets to help educate our children, right?
Money back.
To pay for higher gas prices, which are hitting us at the pump, to repair the vehicles damaged on these pothole-ridden roads. Folks, it's very simple. It's our money and we want it back. The people deserve their bonus now. We've paid it too long. To allow AFT, the county, Hart, and the incompetent county attorneys in this county to put us through this nightmare any longer is a disgrace. It's a decision that these legally taxed monies is doubling down on stupid. It's like giving a hacker, allowing them to determine how the money is going to be returned to the people on the internet. Folks, return our money now. It's a simple reality. It's been stolen. It needs to be returned. Restitution now. Fix our roads first. We are here to stand up for one thing. This county has left our roads ignored way too long. At this point in time, they wasted all this time, which could have been used to improve all this problems we face, both South County, North County, East and West, and it's all the money is being directed here, into the city. It's time for the county to speak up. It's time for the city to listen, and we're here to let that start today.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm Jim Davison, Dr. Jim Davison, D-A-V-I-S-O-N, and I live in New Tampa. I must completely agree with my colleagues in the concerns we have surrounding the absurd and dishonest logic the board is engaged in to try and keep most, if not a large majority, of the illegal money for themselves. Even though the Supreme Court said it was illegal in collecting that money. It was illegal when the Supreme Court said that on February the 25th this year, and it was illegal when it was passed on a referendum in 2018. It's been illegal for the entire time. They took our money. I use the word conned here because that's what happened. They conned the people out of their money, just like Bernie Madoff conned the people out of their money. They used a multimedia campaign worth millions of dollars in a rapid succession and told the people lie after lie after lie. They lied about the congestion relief. They lied about the number of lives it would save. They lied about the number of crashes that would be reduced by. That is not fair, and that in itself should be illegal. I'm here to tell you that we want our money back now, that that man over there is a hero, and he saved the people of Hillsborough County $16 billion. $16 billion he saved us. So figure that out. The bottom line is, we want our money back now. Nuestro dinero. Nuestro dinero. Our money.
Hello, Hello, my name is Karen Jaroch, Karen, last name Jaroch. I live in the northwest Hillsborough County. You know, the Hillsborough County government, along with a political committee, All for Transportation, who conceived and bankrolled this illegal tax, they were on the losing side of the lawsuit that challenged the legality of the 1% sales tax. Now they want to dictate the terms of the settlement. This is outrageous. The funds belong to the residents and business of Hillsborough County, not special interests who control the political committee and the politicians. The tax took in over $500 million in the 27 months it was put into effect. $500 million. What's outrageous is the defendants who lost in court, which include the political committee, All for Transportation, are trying to dictate the terms of the refund process. Their plan is designed to give taxpayers back as little as possible so they can spend the money themselves. Their plan requires anyone seeking a refund to collect their receipts over the last 27 months and go before a 3-panel judge to get their refund. Who among us has saved 27 months of their receipts? Not me. This is outrageous. It's burdensome and unfair and unworkable to the average citizen. Besides Stacy White, taxpayers have never had a say in this lawsuit. We have been shut out of the refund process, and we're here today to demand our money back.
Yes! Yes! We want our money back!
If a fair and equitable refund can't be worked out, however, then refund our money through a tax holiday going forward until the $500 million is exhausted. Adding insult, last week the County Commission advanced a plan to put the tax back on the 2022 ballot before even 1 penny had been returned to citizens. Think about it. Before a plan has even been agreed to about how to refund the money, the county commissioners are scheming to put a tax back on the ballot. We want our money back, right? We all want better transportation solutions. There was an existing $800 million plan for transportation that didn't raise taxes and addressed road safety and maintenance and added road capacity. You know, the tax that was illegal prevented any new road capacity. That was the big lie that never got told in 2018. People thought they were voting for a tax to fix their roads. They got a tax for a train down to downtown Tampa for the special interest who bankrolled $4 million on that campaign. So this the existing plan that now is gone because of this tax, like Tom said, we've wasted 2+ years on getting our roads, our potholes filled, getting our sidewalks fixed, because special interests down here wanted a train, bringing everybody to funnel everyone to their property. This time there needs to be a serious discussion about our needs and alternatives to pay for them. The slick $4 million marketing campaign the defendant, AFT, sold residents in 2018 masked their plan. Their plan was primarily about light rail downtown. Their tax was about development, not mobility. It promoted road diets, not road capacity. It funded projects catered to affluent choice riders, not the transit-dependent people who need a good, robust bus system.
Exactly right.
It was a $16 billion tax over 30 years, not a penny tax. Their plan netted little safety improvements and absolutely did nothing to decrease our traffic congestion. And I just wanted to highlight this sign here because it wasn't in my slides. It's not a penny tax. It's $1,463 for a family of 4. That's $365 for every man, woman, and child. The county commissioners, excluding Stacy, are tone deaf to the events of the past year when many people lost their jobs and need financial relief. Now is not the time to raise our taxes and spend more money. Thank you. Oh, and before I go, we are honored that Commissioner Stacy White came down, and I believe he has a few words to say. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you so much, Karen, and all the folks that have come out today. I'm Stacy White, Hillsborough County Commissioner, District 4, STACYWHITE. Folks, this is just a small sampling of the folks in this community that want the local governments and local agencies to stop the funny business and return these dollars to the people. There is over $500 million of money on deposit, and this is not tax money. This is money that was unlawfully collected from the people of Hillsborough County, and the Florida Supreme Court has determined that. We have an outside contracted attorney working on behalf of Hillsborough County and some of the governments and agencies that has put forth he's calling it a plan, but it's actually a ploy to send as little of that money as possible back to the people that had it unlawfully collected from them. And I say that it's time to stop the funny business.
Amen.
Return the money to the people. There are plenty of ways to get that done. Folks here today have mentioned the idea of direct checks to the people of Hillsborough County. Certainly advocating for something like a sales tax holiday is something that would work. And even an option like sending the money to the Department of Revenue in Tallahassee so that a neutral, unbiased source can create a process by which this money can be returned. And these attorneys have even said as much in some of their court pleadings that this money at this point belongs to the state of Florida. So the Department of Revenue is an agency that can address this issue. It should be under the custody of the state of Florida. It belongs to the people that had it unlawfully collected, but it should be under the custody of the state of Florida. We have plenty of ways that we can address this. We should stop the funny business. What they're essentially asking is that bad behavior be rewarded. And we should not be in the business of rewarding bad behavior. That money was collected unlawfully. It should be given back to the people. As Karen mentioned, the county commission is currently talking about whether it wants to do a referendum in 2022. I expect that will go through a thorough vetting process. If that ends up on the ballot, the county commission will then have the opportunity to lawfully talk about a spending plan that would accompany it. And at that time, that's the appropriate time to talk about funds on deposit and how they're going to be appropriated. But we should not reward bad behavior. This money, that's not tax money, unlawfully collected, should be given back to these people. Thank you so much for coming out today to have your voices heard, to express your support. And believe me when I tell you, this is just a small sampling of the people out in the county that want this money returned. They want this to be done right. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Right? But if there was some way to proportionally divide this money up and return it to the people who wanted it, but then leave an amount of money to the voters who voted for transportation.
No,
No.
their money, I got news for you. You can give it back to everybody, and then if you want to give it back to the county for transportation, you can.
It's really good. You can give your money to the
Why don't
county
we do it
anytime.
that way instead of not giving it back to the people who voted for it? The people who voted for it in many instances were conned.
And that's
They
the
were
point,
conned.
that's the point you're failing to remember. Go look back at the advertisements from AFT. They lied to the people in Hillsborough County. They lied to the consumers in Hillsborough County. They lied to the businesses. They said, as Karen pointed out and Sharon said, they said that roads were to be improved, widened, improved, out of capacity. They lied. Read the plan. Do not advocate the solution.
Read the plan, and part of it does allocate money for that.
No,
My
it does.
question to you is if you're a
No, it
voter,
does not.
Very
No, it
My
doesn't.
question is that voters obviously wanted these changes because
How do you know they honestly
No,
want
not,
it?
60% of them voted for it.
That's because they were conned.
not 60%, 50%.
How would you advise them if
Let-
they
let-
want to
let-
get their roads fixed to put this money towards?
There's many plans.
Let me just say that the voters had a plan presented to them that was defective. It was unconstitutional. It was found to be unconstitutional by the Florida Supreme Court, and it was deceptive in many ways. But to the points that have been raised here today, if you get this tax money refunded to you in some way, shape, or form, either through a DOR process, a sales tax holiday, a direct check, If you want to turn around and write a check to Hillsborough County government for the Transportation Trust Fund, that's your prerogative, and there is not a thing that prohibits that.
Commissioner, do you want it back on the ballot? What do you think about that?
I'm not sure at this point. We're in early discussions, but I can tell you this. Whether I vote in favor of placing a referendum on the 2022 ballot or not, it should be legal. It should be lawful. What goes to the voters should have been fully vetted. It should have been legally vetted. It should be lawful and free of deception.
So there's a chance you would vote for it?
We're still way too early in the process for me to say that at this
And the
point.
other piece of that, it needs to be transparently done, because the AFT, their proposal was done in the dark. None of us had any input to it.
None of the people in Hillsborough County.
No one in Hillsborough County, except a small group of people who hatched it over wine one night, had a say in it. So the process that will go through the county has to be transparent, and the public gets an opportunity to provide their input, and that is important.
I think I guess a lot of people want the check, would like a check from the county for the money, correct? Is that fair to say? So quick math tells me it's about $350 per person if we were to do it that way, which ultimately means some people are going to get more than they spend, some people are going to get less than they spend. Is that fair? Is that okay? What do you think about a check?
Well, there's also the issue of people who may have traveled to Hillsborough County and paid the unlawful levy. So that's why something like a sales tax holiday might make a lot of sense. But listen, a process that is neutral and unbiased can be developed. That could be a sales tax holiday. It could be through an agency such as DOR. There are ways to solve this, but make no mistake about it. The pleading that is in front of Judge Barbas at this point is funny business. It's nothing more than a ploy that is designed to give as little of this money back to these people as possible. And I know good and well that the local governments and agencies just want to get their hands on that to use for these transportation projects that were hidden in this deceptive plan. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is rewarding bad behavior. We should not do that.
The board should instruct them not to.
Do you support a class action lawsuit that would hand over some of the money to attorneys?
I think it's appropriate that there's a class action team out there that's taking a look at this. Yes, that's a potential legal avenue to address this issue. Let me get this question in the back and I'll come back to your second question.
That was it. Whatever happens, don't you support a solution that avoids a lawsuit? I mean, taxpayers would lose a third of their money to lawyers if it goes that way.
Well, this outside contracted attorney that's supposedly working on behalf of Hillsborough County government and these agencies should just stop the funny business and promote something that's actually neutral and unbiased. And maybe that, would alleviate the issue of a class action lawsuit.
Avoiding a class action lawsuit?
I support avoiding unnecessary litigation and unnecessary legal fees. But at this point, I think this class action suit is potentially, something that may be here to protect these folks.
Wasn't the main tenet
Because we
of
see
your-
the funny business that's going on.
Wasn't the main tenet of your lawsuit to get control of the outlay of the money back to the commissioners? Because you really argued that it should be the county commission that should decide where the outlay goes. If you get your projects.
Not quite. Okay, that's what you're talking about is the entire reason that this referendum was unlawful. So the only thing to do is throw it out at this point. It's been done by the Supreme Court. Give the money back to the people. And then if the Board of County Commissioners wants to start over and do a 2022 referendum, if the people pass that referendum, it should be structured in such a way that it's lawful, and most importantly, that any funds that might be collected from a potential 2022 referendum are distributed equitably. Okay? We have suburban, rural areas of this county, obviously the urban areas. There is a very diverse mix of transportation needs across this county. That's what this plan that was found to be unconstitutional lacked.
So there's no remedy now to fix that. To get
There's
the
no
projects.
remedy to fix that. The money should be given back to the people
Is there a
that
way
paid
to
that.
Realistically, without, as you mentioned, nobody has receipts from 2 years ago. Is there a way the government or somebody out there, without us, the people having to do it, to determine how much someone actually spent in sales tax and get the right number back to that person?
Absolutely. If you itemize deductions on your federal tax return, there's a way to go in there and plug in your zip code and your income and they tell you, you know, roughly what you would have paid in sales tax in that year for deducting your sales tax. So the IRS has come up with an easy mechanism. Certainly, I know there are experts at DOR that can come up with a mechanism. A sales tax holiday is something that would be very easy and equitable. And certainly, I'm open to the direct check idea. You know, we've talked a lot about COVID stimulus. What better way to offer some stimulus to our local residents?
And remember, it's the people's money that was illegally begotten by the county. And so the reality is, and Stacy's right, whether the mechanism is X or Y, what has to happen is it has to be equitable to your question. Because remember, not everyone itemizes their taxes. So we have to understand and keep sight that there are people in this community who don't itemize. So we need something that's focused on equitable. But the most important thing is it's the people's money. And every one of these people here wants the roads fixed. This is not, one of the questions was earlier was as if, well, you guys just don't want X happening. Well, we do. We drive on these roads every day. We live in our community. We bring our children to our schools. Some schools that will not have proper access lanes, and with this increasing population we're seeing in Hillsborough County. As residents of Hillsborough County, we want to see our roads as safe as possible for our families for the future. And rail does not do that. It takes 1% of the population off the road. And think about it right now. Imagine if that rail was in place in 2019, 2020. How many people would have been riding on the rail? And how much in deficit would that program be today? Folks, think about the consequences of what the county commission did to us.
And
it's our money.
And don't forget, because this mess, this legal mess, there's one group that's responsible for it, and that is All for Transportation.
All for Transportation.
All for Transportation put an illegal and unlawful transit tax on the ballot that violated state law. So you cannot lose sight of the fact that it's All for Transportation is the reason why we're sitting here discussing all of these various options to give people back their own money.
And to sum up, the bottom line is that there are two different questions here. Returning the money that was gotten illegally and then fixing our transportation system.
Yes.
There were multiple plans in 2018 that they just covered up and said didn't exist. In fact, the board recently did away with one of those plans, the $812 million transportation plan that they just waived and did away with because they said there wasn't money. Do you realize that the revenues for the county are growing faster than the cost of providing health care in the United States? That's how fast the revenues are growing. And they say there's no money. Yet they hired 400 people, just the county administrator's area, over the last 2 years. That's not what a company does when you're running out of money. We are going to show, we have a speakers bureau, and you can get a hold of us at info at right. And the bottom line, we are going to go to every single corner of this county. Anybody that wants to hear, and we're going to show them how they were lied to and how you can fix these problems, these transportation problems, without raising your taxes.
Folks, I'm not sure if there are any more questions, but if there are, we're going to take two more. Any more questions?
Ideally, I'm sure the answer is tomorrow, but ideally, when can they get their money back, if it's going to happen?
Well, things need to play out in the courtroom at this point. There's a pleading before the judge, but I'm here to tell you today that that pleading is funny business, and it's nothing more than a ploy to give as little of that money back to these people that had it unlawfully collected from them. Any other questions? Thanks so much for coming out today. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.